Hello everyone. I wanted to address something that one of my subscribers, Mike, this is for you. One of my subscribers asked, basically, why didn't you mention the unemployment rate dropping to below 8% for the first time in 4 years when it's obvious that everyone is unemployed and really the metrics don't match. So I want to be a little didactic today and basically give you a metric and understanding in case people are arguing this position for you and you want to somehow refute it, which you can. First, you have to understand the method in which unemployment rates through the Bureau of Labor Statistics were originally created. This is going to be a bit, so please be patient. In 1933, when FDR had set up the unemployment rate to gauge where people were as in the level of employment, both farm and non-farm, he set up a system where the unemployment rate would be based on social workers going out and counting people who were, after the work hours had begun, counting all, at that time, men of working age, which at that time was 17 to 64 or 60, and they would literally walk around the streets and say, hey, it's time to work, what are you doing? Well, I can't find a job, or I'm only working part-time, and they would mark that as, if you were working less than 30 hours a week, or if you were unemployed, they would count you. And they would continue to do this through the Bureau of Labor Statistics to get an accurate read of what's going on. This changed radically under Reagan's administration. I'm jumping a few presidents who had made some adjustments, and they were basing it, when we get to Reagan in the 1980s, they were basing it on people who were strictly unemployed but not underemployed, and primarily unemployment based on who was getting benefits, as well as people who were not employed at all, but part-time. That's how we get the U6, U3 numbers. When we get to Clinton, he extracts out even the people who are working part-time out of, in 1997, he removes that, and then the U3 number even shrinks even more, but keeps the part-time or underemployed, as it's now commonly known, in the U6 number. Well, suddenly, in the last 3 to 4 months, Barack Obama has quietly changed the rules again and started counting, are you waiting for this? Counting underemployed people as fully employed. Now, in case you missed it when they were doing interviews, you can go on RT's, I think it's Capital Account, for Friday, October the 5th, and they even pointed out, even though they kind of brush it along the side, because everybody who's saying, well, it's 7.8, that means the economy is turning around, right? Well, first of all, if you look at organizations like Shadowstats.com, and I'll post the website, you have to pay to see the most recent one. But if you look at the previous month, they're basing it on the old FDR method of going out and saying, hey, why are you not working? Or why are you standing around and not getting a job? And what they, based on that metric that Shadowstats has, the unemployment rate in working age adults, that would be adults that are from the age of 18 to 64, the unemployment rate is 26%. Last September, this past September for August, unemployment rate was at actually, I believe, 25%. So there's been a net increase based on it because they're following the old FDR numbers that were set up in 33 and 37, I think it was. So how do you counter this? Well, second of all, at the same time, well, of course, this morning, or Saturday evening, after they touted that the unemployment rate was 7.8%, they noted that, that the food stamps are at the highest point ever in history. now getting close. I think it's 46.68. So let's just call it 7. So 47 million people are now on public assistance, food stamps, heat. They include everything. And that, by the way, that money is running out because it's not part of it's part of the Farm Bill, but that's a different discussion. So and that number is not for October or for September, it's for, I believe, July. And that number is still increasing. So, even the Bureau of Labor Statistics, even though they get, I'm not going to argue what kind of chicanery is going on. We all know that there is, because people were patting each other on the back when everybody was being unemployed by leaps and bounds. The real number is 26%, and that is the real number. There are people working less than 30 hours a week being counted as fully employed. And it throws in the face of other statistical numbers that are produced from the same government, such as food stamps and so forth. So now we have a larger portion of working poor, even people who are working part-time. The government is so desperate to lower that unemployment rate number for political reasons, not for economic reasons, that they're counting they're counting part-time workers. And people are not working part-time because they want to, because they have no other choice. And we know this because those people are making so little money that they're asking for assistance from another branch of the United States government, food stamps. And, the issue is primarily this. I haven't looked at the unemployment numbers from the BLS, from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, since probably 2006. I always look at shadow stats. If you have a couple of bucks that you can throw around, and you don't have to, you can order shadowstats.com's latest thing, or you wait until the next month, and then he posts what was on last month's on the front page. But you can see that there's a definite pattern. There is kind of a loopity-do that if you look at it, it looks like there's a drop and then there's a rise, and that drop and rise actually is death models. How do I say this? BLS has a death model, a life-death model. They assume certain jobs will be created because they're not counting it, so they're going to guess, and they can guess any number they want. They could guess 100% and lower the unemployment rate to 3, but they know that the people won't believe them. That's the death-birth model, by the way, when they mention that. But in this case, it's the number of people who are of working age that are either becoming 18 or turning 65 or dying. And that's where that little loopity-doo. And the pattern is still a progressive up, not a progressive down. So knowing that, knowing the inflation, and knowing the fact that gasoline, and I'm just throwing this in there, that gas prices are exponentially growing at a time when gasoline prices should be lowering because more oil is going towards fuel oil, not gasoline, is a stark turning point for the economy. The problem is that there's not enough oil. People are still very much unemployed. And unfortunately, this stuff will kind of agree or, pardon my frustration. I know that 7.8, once the elections are over, is going to go back to an 8.1 and then maybe to an 8.4 after the holidays. And then whoever is president, doesn't matter who it is, will turn around and say, well, it's after the holidays, people are, lost their seasonal jobs, and this is a normal fluctuation of whatever. But the truth is that 8 number doesn't even begin to describe it. Even anecdotally, if you go outside, you can see more and more people without jobs. You can just do what the sociologists did in the 30s and up into 1952 when they started changing the rules. Go out there and say, hey, go to the park or whatever if you have time. Hey, how's work? How's this? 9 times out of 10 people are going to go, I've been looking for a job. And now, just as a side note, I just want to throw this out. I guess it's a rant more than anything else than a metric. You find that people are having difficulties getting their resume out. because now employers are using electronic devices as for tags and so forth, looking for specific duties, and then to shrink it down from 500 resumes that they may get, and I'm not even exaggerating that number, 500 resumes they may get in a given day down to something that they can control, like 50 or 25, and out of those they could probably get 3 or 4. The issue is that most people are being replaced by two things. Because the economy is so bad, technology that you're looking at right now is bridging the gap. It's outstripping the need of physical workers to do a job. If you don't believe me, look at your iPhone or Galaxy or any of these smartphones or the smart devices that you use, like this tablet I'm using to videotape. These things are more than just time savers. They're eliminating jobs that would normally go to people who are just starting out, trying to get their foothold. And there is no capital available for people to start businesses. Take it from me. It's impossible for people, for the American people at least, I know Europe is having trouble, but I speak for the American people, that these unemployment issues are systemically devastating. And we will stay at this, and I'm using ShadowStats numbers, we will stay at the 20 to 25% unemployment rate for the next 5 to 10 years, easily, until the economy readjusts or the birth, the level of people being born shrinks, which it did during the Depression. People had less and less children. That's why there was a baby boom after World War II. So next time somebody turns around and says, hey, whatever, and let me just state, okay, I am neither a conservative or a Democrat or a Republican. I'm an independent. That means, I always say, an independent is somebody who votes their conscience. I'm voting my conscience. So I don't care who to root for. I'm not rooting for anybody. I'm rooting for us, for the American people. The problem has to be solved by us, not by these puppet heads that are sitting on podiums talking garbage. And they will continue to tweak the numbers for as much as we will be willing to allow them to do so. So that's my rantish thing on unemployment metrics. The reality is, very simply to recap, 7.8 number is a bogus number. They obviously overreached, and it was obvious. But the reality is, based on ShadowStats numbers, we're looking at 25 to 26%. I think it's almost 26 right now, but it's very close. But it was definitely solidly in 25 territory. So you can go on shadowstats.com. You can also, if somebody argues with you, say, well, what about the, what about the food stamps? Every month is a record. And it's not just a little record over, it's a big record over. That means every group of people that hit the age of 18 and become, emancipated from their families, or, theoretically emancipated from their families as college graduates, as high school graduates, they don't have the money to feed themselves. And their families, even if they live with their families, don't have the money to feed them. And this is where we're at. So that's the reason why, Michael, that's the reason why I ignored the unemployment numbers, because it's like watching fantasy football or American Idol. I don't. I just look at the I look at the real numbers, and I look at what they can't manipulate, no matter how hard they try. Peace.